What's up, everybody? The time has come to put my 37s on my Ram 2500. Now, I don't have a leveling kit on here yet, so we're going to see how it goes. I was waiting and waiting. I've had these tires for like probably a month or so. I've been waiting to hear back from some possible sponsorships for a nice leveling kit, because I'm wanting some suspension based, not just like a puck you shove underneath it and it makes it ride even rougher, right? So I haven't heard back from them yet, so we'll see. But in the meantime, these tires were bald, as you guys know, and I don't want to be driving. I have some trips coming up for work, and it probably usually gets snowy this time of year, and I don't want to drive this thing in the snow right now. So we're going to put them on and the new wheels with the stock height and see how it goes. And, worst case, if it's undrivable, I'll hurry and just buy a leveling kit myself and, have it here in a handful of days and get it put on. So my truck's more usable, but I'm very curious to see just how it's going to do with it on stock height, and if the same rubbing and trim, and if the same little bit of a trimming is still all that's required to make it work. Had to dub out the sound because the music was pretty prominent, but I'm kind of relieved. These tires didn't look super big when they were off the wheel and uninflated, but they really felt out nicely once there's air in them. Nice bubbly look to them, nice and round. So here we are. It's not going to work out. That just barely clears. And this could get pinned forwards, so it doesn't worry me as much. But looking on the back right here, it does miss that metal, but it catches it enough that when it comes out of the turn, it would totally rip it off if I tried to drive home with this on there. So I'm actually going to leave, and I'm going to go trim that and then come back. So I'm here in my garage at night, and I got this heat gun, and here's my plan. Now, when I was at the dealership, or the Discount Tire, right here is where it caught really bad. So my plan is to actually just push this in. So if you look up underneath it, you have some clearance there to just simply to just mold this plastic and just heat it and just push it in. The pinch weld, it actually doesn't hit the tire at all, which is great. I want to make sure it doesn't hit when I articulate. Now, you can sometimes have problems if you do start chopping welds. It can lead to rust issues and stuff like that, which is not good. So I'm going to try to keep it there. Okay, so far, this came across square and up. I was able to kind of, heat it, pinch it to pull it back and stretch this over to round it. And it's quite a bit more clearance. And everywhere where it was touching is now tucked in more. It's like this way, it's like this direction more. So now what I'm going to do, is I'm going to go ahead and you kind of see, you can kind of see under here too now. Kind of hitting that corner a bit. So I think I can actually heat up right here, and from this angle I can see a bit better. Make sure that I can tuck this in a little bit more, I think, if I heat this corner to allow this corner to give, because right now this is at a 90. So if I only heat right here, it won't quite really bend proper. Might be okay though. What I actually want to do mostly is heat up this edge and kind of just flare it out a little bit like that. So it'll kind of just be a bit more flared back and then harden. Just give me a bit more space this direction. That's my goal. But I have to watch out because I have some wires here, as you can see. And so I don't want to damage those. So I'll have to just be real careful to heat just this edge right here, so that I can then kind of just bend it back and let it kind of be a bit more flared. So here's this view on the passenger side. But you can kind of see just how much space there is right here. And so I was able to tuck it in against that pinch weld pretty dang good, actually. Like seeing it from this angle before starting, I see how much space is there. So obviously I got quite a bit more clearance on the side there. And then this was able to kind of get pulled back and remold back to about there is where it kind of stayed. And so, which is adequate. This luckily too has a nice big fin right here. And so if the tire did catch that, it would help it at least not just, dig in and rip it out or whatever. But But I'm gonna go ahead and get busy on this one, and I'll show you the after as well. Now I can't get into the inner corner because of the angle, but I'll just kind of heat up this outer edge right here, and then kind of just heat it, and then you just squeeze it. But that wasn't quite hot enough yet, so. But basically that's kind of how I need two hands a bit differently. So, but basically though, you just kind of heat it, squeeze it, and just slowly kind of mold it over. Okay, so here this side is now. I mean, you can see how less space there is there. Just kind of have to heat it, push it over, heat up this corner to allow that 90 to break loose a little bit. It's pretty hard to get it started. Once you get started, it's a little bit easier. But you can see that it took a lot of heat sometimes because you're trying to blow in here to get that corner broken open. This gets too hot, and so when you touch it, it kind of comes off a little bit. But I definitely got some. It was burning in my hands for a little bit, to be honest with you, trying to hold this in while it cooled down. This part flared out a little bit, not a whole lot. Just kind of too hard to heat that large of an area to get it to break loose, while also trying to not heat up the wires behind it, you know. So, but I can always do that a bit more later too if I need to. But I think it might be okay. So here's what we got for the front, the front of the wheel well. I was able to pull it forwards about an inch, maybe an inch and a half. I just drilled a couple small little holes, and I had some picture frame hanging wire that I thought might be better than a zip tie long term. So I kind of drilled it through, and you kind of wrap it around nice and tight. And then over here, I found these little triangle carabiners that would help it. It's a nice smooth edge, right? So I didn't want to wrap a zip tie or the picture wire through the frame because it's sharper corners, so all the vibrations might cut it relatively fast. I'm not really sure. So I found that, kind of just hooked it on there, tied it on, and then should be good to go. But as you can see, you know, it was a pretty loose wheel well liner on the front, but it's pretty firm now. Doesn't want to really vibrate, and it should help a lot to get more clearance. So I'll do the other side, and then I'll be all done with this thing. Okay, well, we got that stuff all bent forwards and freed up a little bit. Got that pinned forwards a little bit. And then I guess we'll see tomorrow how this wheel and tire combo right here fits. So we're back here for take two. And as you can see here, we have success. It's so close, but it doesn't rub. And surprisingly enough, I do an update at the end after about driving for 2 weeks or so. And it doesn't rub while driving either, hardly ever. So it's actually quite a relief. But you can see here up front, it cleared up nicely, about an extra inch up front. And then it squeaks by in the back just barely. So we're going to move forwards here and get the rest of these tires put on and kind of see how it goes. I had to mute all this sound, unfortunately, because there's some nice jams in the background that are copyrighted. So, but one thing I'll mention, you know, these wheels, when I bought them, then they were like listed as a preferred fitment on Method's website. And then they actually changed that right before I did the install. And the reason is because these 17s, there's less than 3 millimeters of clearance from the wheel to the brake caliper in the front. Barely clearance. And so it was just so tight that they changed their recommendation, even though there's been no problems with it either. I also called some other dealers that sell these wheels. This is the same thing, never any problems with them. And then I should be good to go ahead and put these things on. So, which I needed to do because I wanted a 17, not an 18, because the BFGs, if it's an 18-inch wheel, it's a 13.5-inch wide tire, which would be too wide to fit. And so I kind of definitely wanted to go on it with a 17-inch wheel for that 12.5 wide, width tire. So because there's so little clearance, you have to static balance these tires, which you put, you'll see where he puts the magnet right here, just behind those spokes. You can't put the clips on the back edge. It's just not the right shape or enough clearance for them. So, but it'll work, and I'm overall pretty pumped. So I've driven this truck about 700 miles since putting these tires on. And I can say this for certain, I'm actually not in a rush to go and level the truck. These fit better than I expected. I've only had some minimal rub 2 times in 700 miles, or it's just that perfect angle of tire while hitting a bump. It's been into my driveway both times. I kind of up and over the curb. So it really, it fits better than I thought it would. And I actually love the look of it. A lot of people tend to lift these trucks excessively. They'll do a 6-inch lift for, 35 sometimes, or for 37s, but a 6-inch lift for 37s, and the tires look way smaller. Especially when you have a large diameter wheel with a 37. This is not much rubber, so visually it doesn't look as big. And so I love the look of it being just a stock height. It still has a factory rake. Has a really good, clean look to it, and I really like it. So now my next video, I'll do a couple of videos I have coming up. One will be, I'll be doing a chalk test on this thing pretty soon. Right now I'm just running it at the 50 PSI max on these tires. So I do a chalk test because I'm actually overinflated on these. So I'll do a chalk test to show you guys what the proper PSI should be to run this air volume inside of a tire, on this weight of a truck. So I'll do a chalk test coming up soon, as well as I'll do a detailed kind of walkthrough about the fitment more precisely, show you guys more in depth where the articulation and what factors really went into making this possible to where it wouldn't be rubbing on a stock height. So stay tuned for those. Please like and subscribe, support the channel, and follow along to learn a bit more about these trucks as you're kind of doing stuff to y'all's trucks. So anyways, guys, I hope you found some value in today's video, and I'll catch you guys next time.